Dawn is 3 months behind. Not on her rent. Her rent has never once been late in 4 years. She is 3 months behind on everything the rent left nothing for. The rent leaves her account at 1 minute past midnight on the 1st of the month. She set it that way on purpose, before anything else can reach the money, before she can reach it either. £1,100 for a one-bed flat above a shop. 4 years in the same tenancy. Her landlord has never had to send a reminder. At Christmas, he texts to say she is a good tenant. She always replies, "Thank you." Behind that, there is a council tax bill with 2 missed installments on it, an energy account just over £700 down, a credit card that has had the minimum paid, and only the minimum, for 11 months, and a phone bill she keeps meaning to ring about. The rent is not the thing she is behind on. The rent is the reason she is behind on everything else. It started in January. She works in a school kitchen on a term-time contract and picks up agency shifts in the holidays to cover the weeks the contract does not pay her for. That January, 2 of those shifts were cancelled in the same week. Not a disaster. A few £100s. But a few £100s in the wrong week does not stay a few £100s. It becomes a decision. Something was going to be late. She did not choose to fall behind. She chose which thing fell behind. And the rent was never on the list. It is worth being precise about why, because this is a rule, not a feeling. The rules that follow are England's. 3 months of rent arrears is what is called a mandatory ground for possession. Mandatory means that if the landlord proves it, the court has to make the order. Your circumstances do not come into it. That threshold used to be 2 months. It moved to 3 in May, deliberately, to give people who fall behind for a short time room to recover. The notice period doubled at the same time, to 4 weeks, and the arrears have to be there twice. On the day the notice is served, and again on the day of the hearing. Section 21, the no-fault eviction notice, is gone as well. Since the start of August, it cannot be used in England at all. None of that makes being behind on rent safe. Below 3 months, a landlord can still go to court, just on a ground where a judge is allowed to weigh things up, rather than one where they are not. But at 11 at night, in a kitchen, the law is not really what she is thinking about. The thought is simpler than that. Every other bill she is behind on is a letter. That one is a door. So the letters are what she absorbs. She has never added them up in one sitting. That is its own kind of fact. Roughly 3 months of everything that is not rent. And she is not unusual, which is the part that took her longest to believe. In the most recent English housing survey, about a third of private renters in England, 32%, said they found it fairly or very difficult to pay their rent. About 1 in 20 were actually behind on it. 5%. Sit those 2 numbers next to each other for a moment. A third finding it hard. 1 in 20 falling behind. The difference between them does not evaporate. It is being absorbed somewhere. There is one place you can see where it goes. When somebody finally reaches a debt charity, an advisor sits down and looks at the whole household at once. Last year, among the people who did that at Step Change, 37% were behind on energy. 33% were behind on council tax. 18% were behind on rent. Of those 3, rent came last. Roughly half as common as energy, in a group where 61% were renting. 60% of them were in some kind of work. 44% were working full-time. Average household arrears came to £4,345, and the number of people in arrears at all actually fell that year. Fewer people, deeper holes. Here is the diagnosis, and it is not about Dawn. Rent is not her biggest debt. It is not the one gathering interest. It is the only one with her home attached to it. The debt advice world already knows this and says it plainly. Step Change calls rent arrears a priority debt and gives the reason directly. You might lose your home. Citizens Advice sorts debts the same way, not by size, not by interest rate, by what happens if you do not pay, which means Dawn was not being irrational. She was running that exact system on her own at a kitchen table without ever having heard the phrase priority debt. And she was getting the top of the list right. The problem is what the ranking costs. Money moved off one bill does not stop existing. It lands on bills that have timetables of their own. Council tax is the sharpest example. Miss an installment, and after a reminder, and 2 7-day windows, the rest of the year's bill can become legally due all at once. And underneath all of it, among households on the lowest 40% of incomes, nearly 80% of those renting privately have been unable to afford something essential in the last 6 months. Around 4.5 million low-income households are behind on at least one bill or repayment. Then there is the part that makes any of this hard to say out loud. From the outside, all of it looks like coping. A clean rent ledger reads as somebody managing. There is no letter to show anyone, no notice, no visible failure of any kind. The effort is invisible from the outside. An invisible effort is very difficult to ask for help with, so the shame lands in the wrong place. Being 3 months behind on everything else is not evidence of being bad with money. It is the arithmetic of one bill being non-negotiable. She has been doing, alone, at 11 at night, the job a debt advisor is trained to do, with no way of knowing whether she had it right. And for anyone watching who is behind on the rent itself, one thing about that 3-month number is worth knowing. The arrears have to be there on the day of the hearing, not only on the day of the notice. The government's own guidance says a tenant cannot be evicted under that ground if the amount owed has come below the threshold by the time it reaches court. That is not the same as the tenancy being safe. Other grounds still exist, but it does mean the number is not a one-way door. If any of this is familiar, there is one realistic move. Say the ranking out loud to a free debt advisor and let somebody who does it for a living check the order. Not because the council or the supplier or the card company do not matter. Those conversations still happen, but all of them go better when you know which one comes first. The ranking is the one thing that has never had a second opinion on it. Step Change and Citizens Advice are both free and confidential, and they look at all of it in one conversation instead of one bill at a time. It does not clear anything it is not supposed to. Dawn rang in March. It took her 9 days to work up to it. The rent still leaves the account at 1 minute past midnight on the 1st. Nothing about that has changed. What changed is that it is no longer the only thing holding the whole structure up, and she is no longer the only person who knows what it costs. If this helped, you can subscribe for more calm explanations like this.